Okay, good evening. This is the Dayton Historical Monthly Meeting, Historical Commission Monthly Meeting. It is now 6:04 and I'm calling the meeting to order. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on Dayton's YouTube channel. So, welcome everyone, and we'll do a roll call. Pat Gale's chair.
Dave Marble Cable.
Shara Acosta, town clerk.
Zach Karen, member.
Rafa Duncan, Vice Chair and Clerk.
Pat Olson.
Peter Karen, liaison from the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, secretary's report, which I did have, which. Did anyone have any changes to the secretary's report?
No.
No, everything looked good?
Yes.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the December 12th, 2023 minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 12th, 2023's meeting as submitted.
There a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No? All right, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? And no abstentions. That was unanimous. Thank you. All right. On our budget, so FY 24 budget didn't change from last month, because we didn't have any expenses. So the balance is still $1,212. Our gift, Segregated Schoolhouse gift account is still the same at $5,683.34. And our encumbered balance is $260, and we have not gotten another bill from CAI Technologies. So that's where we stand on that. FY 25 budget is due February 1st with the town administrator and the accountant's office. So I sent you what Serena had sent me, and I found last year's budget and that we had done. So last year, as you know, we requested $1,400. So basically, I was taking a look at it, and our line items that we have are for equipment repairs and maintenance, professional and technical, communications, other supplies, and travel. And if you look at our expenditures so far, we haven't really spent a lot of that money yet. But if we look at what we're planning for, we have some invoices that will be signed next after this to the tune of about, I wasn't sure what the marker, what price was.
$126.42.
Oh, and 42 cents. Okay. So basically, it's about $250 that we'll be spending tonight. That'll bring us down to about $960 left in our budget. However, we had planned in our budget for $700 for members to go to conferences. The conference that was in Plymouth a number of years ago, put on by Preservation Massachusetts, they were planning one for this year and they canceled it. However, there is another conference coming up through the Mass History Alliance on June 4th that we may want to consider some members going to. So consequently, we do have that, and that's why we haven't really expended any of that. One item that will come out of that will be the book that we ordered would come out of professional and technical. So in looking at that, say 4 of us attend a conference, that would, bring us down to 500. Travel to get to the conference, if people go, that would spend that 130 there, leaving us with about $430. So in our planning, we said we were going to buy 3 historical markers this year. I thought it was 2, but it was actually 3. We may not get to the 3rd one. Or we can find, there are other expenses that come up. I figure that we'll be pretty close to expending all of our monies this year. So I think that's our history. So in going forward, I looked at it, and we can talk about each line item because they're doing the zero-based budgeting again. Equipment repairs and maintenance. Last year, we had put $50 in that. Our equipment and repairs is basically that case right now. So, it's looking pretty good. So I don't know if we can just zero that out. I thought we could zero that out. Then add that $50 to professional and technical, because again, there will be conferences that we should be able to attend and plan for. And also, if we decide to use consulting with our preservation consultant as we go through all of our survey forms and area forms, so that we have a fee to be able to consult with her or whoever.
Has something to add to that line. So when we get to the preserving memories, the release form, if that's something so I intend to send it to Mike Mullen and have him take a look at it. Should he feel the need that legal town council needs to look at it, would that come out of that line?
Professional and technical.
I mean, I don't think it'll be anything too intense that he would feel the need to, but should he feel the need to do that? I just wondered, would that come out of that line item?
I don't know, is that you?
Yes.
Yes.
Come out of that. I mean, because you don't have a line set up already for legal fees,
Okay.
that would come out of professional and
This is
technical.
hourly rate though. You can just wipe it out, right? I mean, does he do it for the town or does he want
No, he would charge us by the hour.
and he gets what, probably over 100 an hour? No, seriously.
Substantially more.
No, like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
it could be something that Mike could look at and think, yeah, this is fine. He may or may not feel the need to send it farther along, but if he does, I don't want him to say, okay, I gotta send this legal. The next thing you know, we're getting hit with a tab that we didn't plan on.
Right.
If the document is not too intense, pretty much a standard one, then there would be no reason to
It
go
would be-
to gay and gay,
It'd be
right?
page long. I mean, really.
Yeah, if you make it too technical, then you have to worry about
Right.
suing and all that.
Right.
So if you just keep it basic, where somebody can't come back at you for whatever reason, they're embarrassed or something, and you feel they would come back and say, we want to sue you. That would be a different story, but if it's just a basic document, I don't think you'd have to go to gay and gay.
Right, and it might be enough that Mike and I, after he looks at the rough draft and say, if you just fix these 1 or 2
Yeah.
things, you're definitely
He's pretty
good. I mean,
qualified
I
for
can't-
over stuff like
That's
that.
that's what I figured. I mean, I just.
And if it does, because it's basically bottom line, so say that expense comes up and it costs us like $200
Mhm.
for it. We can take a look at it and say, all right, we know that other supplies, maybe won't need all of those office supplies that we think we will, and,
Right. Right.
because it's bottom line,
Okay,
so, but we'd have to be aware that that could happen.
all right, okay.
So,
Right.
And then one thing I thought too for the markers, I don't know if you,
To call Chico,
yeah.
Paul Pacheco.
Cause I know with the hassle it took for us to get these, as much as you were pleased with them. Like price aside, just the hassle, like last meeting, how you said took forever, if You know, I don't know what his prices would be compared to this. but-
Substantially cheaper. He might even donate it. I don't want to speak for him, but he has donated things to the town. He's made these big signs out here.
Right.
So I would bet that if I ask him, which I'd be more than happy to.
That's why I had mentioned at the last
I will.
meeting.
Just tell me the things that you want.
There's
And
like
It
four
would-
applicants
Right.
for markers.
And actually, the way the historical marker program is set up, is that the owner of the house would pay,
right,
for it, you know, we would be paying for the town,
right.
I mean,
We have two that the town would pay for and two that our residents are paying for.
I didn't mean to jump ahead, Pat. I just knew that was an item that
Yeah,
had to do with the budget.
right. So when we get down to other supplies, I had included that in, you know, for two more markers, because we have a total of 5 buildings. So we did this one,
Thanks, school.
Segi School, Carnegie Building, Smith Memorial Hall, and the North Dayton Fire Station.
But it could be a quarter of the price, it could be half the price. I don't know.
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
charge, but-
Oh, I can work out something with him.
Yeah.
Without an issue.
So, you know, we should probably leave it as is for right now in our budget planning, not knowing what the price
Right.
is.
What have you set aside for it?
Under other supplies, it's like a total of $490, I figured.
For the signs themselves?
No, those are like 126 each.
Yeah, it'll be nowhere near that.
Yeah, so,
Be half of it.
yeah.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
I would definitely send my dad a picture or show Paul
Go ahead.
the actual
Yeah.
ones, so we have an idea of what.
Yeah.
Actually,
We just won't reappoint him next year as Board of Health.
I would be really upset about that. Oh. Actually, this is the application. So this would give him an idea of what we're talking about. You can have that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So back to our budget. So I figured we'd put the extra $50. I was thinking, given what the fiscal problems are, the tightness of budgets, that if we just level funded for this year, that we could work with that. So,
Which is the thing the selectmen are gonna ask. We were considering a reduction, which we decided not to. So we were gonna ask for level funding with the exception of groups that have contracts.
right,
that We can't,
right.
but sure, if you can get it, do that, that would be great.
I
I
think,
mean, we're not talking a lot of money.
no, we're not. It's a total of, you know, $1,400. Communications is 30. I still have plenty of stamps from the last time we bought stamps, and other supplies would be $490. And travel would be $130 because that's based on the rate. So does anyone have any other input or questions or?
Did you put money aside for the pamphlets for the walk? And if you did, what you put it under?
That would go under other supplies.
Okay.
I
I have no idea what the pamphlet would cost to make up. And then how many do you plan on making?
good point.
Even if it is level funding, if you're ending up with like $300 or $400 that you're not touching, that's not good. Because you
Right.
live without it.
Right,
So
right.
that's why I'm just thinking, do you
Yeah.
have to put on there?
Well, we had talked about the pamphlet for this spring, which
Would be in 2023.
Would be- This budget.
Did we spend it?
not yet, no.
Okay,
Is it a trifold pamphlet?
yep,
Yeah,
Okay, printed both sides, obviously.
yeah.
And
color.
yep, we can go to our printer and get a price ahead of time.
Oh, yeah. Duval.
Duval.
Yeah, Mike's real good.
Yeah.
He did the survey forms for us. So we can get, because I figured in February we would work on that pamphlet, you know, do some editing on it and have that ready to go. So that would come out of this budget.
What about any materials for the time capsule?
I thought about that, you know, and I was like, I don't know. We don't have any definite,
I mean, it wouldn't, even if it was built tomorrow and the plan was to put it in the new library, it can't go there yet anyway.
so you don't really want, so we're really talking about,
And we don't know what kind of like, how much space.
right,
Can we, are we talking, do we have a whole wall to get, take up as much space as you want? Or you said you have that space right there and that's all you got?
right,
So
right.
maybe construction of that,
So,
gonna be relevant for this.
yeah, because they're talking about being in that building at the end of, you know, 2024, beginning of 2025.
Right,
So that would
Right.
be in FY 25
right.
budget. But that would be the beginnings of the planning, so it actually would probably end up in FY 26.
Six, probably.
So we can table it for now, just
Yeah.
wait
Yeah,
and give us more money.
yeah. And put that,
In 2026 budget, we can ask for that extra amount.
Especially if we know something's coming up
Right.
specific that we want it for.
Yeah.
yeah. I have to write that down because who will remember that for FY 26? Is there anything else that people see on the horizon? Is the level funding reasonable?
Yeah, definitely.
Anything for the birthday celebration?
For the 250th? That would be, that's something we never really talked about for the 250th,
Right.
because it probably would end up having to have a somewhat of a little budget,
Right,
Of its own, probably.
of its own, I would
right.
think.
We wouldn't need it this year,
No,
but if you want to put it on your list, we
But
can
when-
certainly do something.
When that is, would that committee then have its own budget for that?
Right,
It
right,
wouldn't necessarily come out of our budget.
no,
right.
or again, if we can tell the town, look, we're gonna have a time capsule and this is why we've gone over the budget. Our budget is increased by 300. And at the same time, look, we're having a 250 celebration. So we need an additional 400. I mean, when the selectmen look at it, we're looking for thousands. $100 here, $100 there is not going to make or break the town.
Right, right. But I think we should have to be mindful of what we're talking about for the future.
Right.
So that we know that we have to start building these in,
Right.
you know. And also, I think to talk with Mike about, I think the 250th committee should be separate from our budget.
It's up to you.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's my opinion, but.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. But certainly that has to be a discussion so that people know that that money, that committee will be looking for some money for
Right.
the event. Or for events.
Not to, and I know I'm just a liaison, but have you thought of any kind of advertising in that pamphlet for the walk?
You mean advertising for the
Yeah, if you go to-
pamphlet?
Go to Dunkin' Donuts and say,
Oh,
gonna-
for them to help.
a little, I mean,
I don't, if, when you look. at
yearbooks
the-
do it and they
Yeah,
get a fortune.
Yeah, when you look at the size of it, and the information that you have, we want to keep it very simple, like the
Sure.
trifold, you know, so there's a lot of information about the houses, so I don't know.
I'm thinking this pamphlet is complimentary from Dunkin' Donuts, Dyton House of Pizza, Alice's Restaurant. Nothing, no
Yeah,
logos
I
or
mean, we can
anything.
talk about it, but we can certainly take a look at it and
At the cost of the
Yeah.
printing.
It's almost like in sponsors.
Yeah,
the sponsor, yeah. I can also bring the rough draft for that pamphlet up to Duval's, just for size.
Right.
See what, for cost for February.
And also too, when we start talking about putting money aside for, the time capsule and stuff like that, by that point, the area forms and all that kind of consulting will probably be close to wrapping up. So the money that we're spending this year on that,
All of our
it may
money,
not
yeah,
necessarily be needed at that point for that, so.
any money that came out of our budget was basically for the office parts of it, the notebooks, the papers, the
Oh, okay,
copies.
okay,
The past two surveys that we did, we had CPC
CBC,
money,
that's right, okay,
for it.
right,
So it didn't come out of our budget. Technically, I would love to see to build the budget so that there is a continuation of always doing like the updating of the survey forms, because that's our function is preservation and identifying historic resources. So, adding, one or two a year to the budget to get the surveys done, rather than always having to go to CPC to say, we're working on this, even though it fits, but it's still a function of our committee, of our
Right.
commission.
yeah, definitely.
I think CPC's getting some money back, right, from the library? Is that the rumor?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, something happened that not at liberty to say,
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, no problem.
but
More to come with that.
yeah,
Okay.
What was I?
Didn't the governor slash the budget for the library?
yes,
50%?
it's not the town, it's the state.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll get to that.
You were talking about updating
Consultants.
projects with the budget included.
Yep. Got to keep me on track here. Okay. Anything else for the budget? Are we good with $1,400? All right. Then I will entertain a motion to approve the FY 25 budget of $1,400.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that passes. All right, so I will get that into the town accountant and to Mike, and I probably will have to set up a meeting with Mike like we did last year. And I can let people know when that is in case you're interested in joining me. I think that Rafa, you went last year?
What?
To the budget meeting or no? No. Oh, well, you're welcome.
Yeah, she comes.
Yeah, then you can learn all about the budget and then you can take over. Well, there's a method. Also, in the memorandum from Mike and Serena, there was a request that departments and committees are going to be asked to detailed in a separate letter, side letter, operational expenses and proposed budgets that relate to technology upgrades, improvements, computer equipment for IT planning, and our ongoing capital process. So I thought, do we have any IT needs?
that kind of goes down to preserving memories, but specifically for us, I mean, Dave, so I mean, not to jump ahead, how is the studio looking?
Studio's almost there. They're trying to finish it up now. And that's gonna help us with your project, because I'm hoping that when we can start using that studio. The lights are up, the backdrop's in there. It's looking very professional. They got the cable in neatly going into the other room, so we can, basically record everything.
Now, if we had someone who says, I prefer not to be video, we want to do just an audio component, do
We
that.
should be able to do audio too and just blank out the video and just do audio. We can do that too. I mean, the studio to me is going to be for the people to use, and hopefully we start using it soon because, like real estate, no one's in there. They're gonna start looking at it, but I know we have people that they can't wait to get in there, so.
That's not-
I'll look again, you know, I think Gary Pink's from Marcus, so he's basically been doing all the work for us the past few years. For instance, when we had the pandemic, he helped me move all the cables out here because the old town hall was unfit to have meetings because of COVID.
Mhm.
And so he's been very good with our projects with upgrading. So I'll reach out to him again. I know it's almost done because I keep checking the room. So I think maybe another week or so,
Oh,
hopefully.
geez, wow.
But I'm
That's-
gonna
that's
find,
what I
but
thought.
let me
Okay.
find out for sure. That'll be my to-do.
That's the only IT thing that I thought of was like, I could record the preserved memories with my phone and my computer and it would be fine.
Right.
Fine as in like, you know, would you want this to be broadcast to the millions of people? Maybe not, but like for what the people of Dayton would want to listen to, it would be more than adequate.
Yeah,
But if the studio is ready to go. And, you know, knowing, like, I wouldn't have to look at the budget for like a nice microphone for us to use.
Right.
And that would be even better.
actually, we just used everything out of that room, you know?
Yeah.
I agree. That's what it's there for. So, all right.
So that leads to, we've had the discussion about storage, you know, and flash drives and you know, Google Space. and,
Yeah.
You know, all of that. Does the cable have room to store the digital stuff that we are?
I mean, yeah, you must have some kind of cloud storage for files, right?
Basically, all our files are going out to YouTube and we have a file server too. I'm gonna expand on the drive. But we have space, but it goes pretty quickly, as you know, because video takes up a lot of it.
The audio.
Audio would be the same thing. I mean, we get everything out there on the server and it's supposed to get backed up. I'm just not sure how much space, because I know we had to shut off the VOD server to save on our space so we can, so we had to shut down the VOD server so we could save our space. We've been using YouTube, far as like, you know, storage there with all our videos. The only thing I heard the last time I looked at it was it's considered public domain. So if you put something out there and you want to pull it back, it's very hard to, you know, to take that back.
Right.
But let me put this down as for me, check on storage and see what I have.
So I guess that being said, if the town's looking for feedback from boards regarding that aspect of it. Maybe it might be worth asking them what avenues they suggest in terms of price point per megabyte for storage for additional, like when when the zoning board uploads their megabytes of meeting packets, those go somewhere.
Would do you guys have, I know we're going off subject, but do you have a server when you have your meetings to put things up on? Because I know we've been having that argument with committees in the past where we really don't have a server space to put things. A lot of people do on their Google Drives and things like that, you know?
I mean, the zoning board doesn't have their own specific one. That I know of, I mean, but like if you were to go on to Dayton.com, .gov, archives and search meeting minutes, you'll find meeting minutes from this board 10 years ago. That's stored somewhere digitally.
Right.
Where? And I'm not asking you specifically, but like that's the kind of thing that I would like to know. And if they say, oh, you know what, we got tons of space, don't worry about it. Or if they say, yeah, it's tight. If you want to upload more, we're gonna need to invest in that, then that's a different, now we gotta ask them what they want us, what they suggest.
I think in a way, it's a subject we really should explore because, you know, every committee has problems with storage, putting things up there, so.
So should we just send a memo about the storage issue? I'm gonna ask you to send me, because I'll send it as the chair, the verbiage that I need to use. So that it's clear what our question is.
And what will you be addressing with this, as far as the storage space or?
Yeah,
Okay,
Digital quote unquote cloud space.
right.
and who will you go to with that, you think?
I'm gonna send it because they asked for it to be sent. I'll send it to Mike and
Okay.
Serena.
It's kind of worked out perfect timing. That's something that we've been talking about
Right.
anyway. And the fact that they're looking for that, and that's exactly what they're talking about. I mean, not specifically, but stuff like that is what they're asking.
Right,
Hmm,
right. All right.
So I'll email you the questions that I want to ask, what way that we want to ask for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. The next thing is our capital outlay plan. In November of 2011, we submitted a capital request for FY 25 for architectural designs and plans for the segregated schoolhouse. Now, it's not part of the operating budget, but we will probably have to present our reasons for this to the finance committee and to the Board of Selectmen again. So we need to be prepared. So we had submitted the request, it was for $45,000. That was a guesstimate in 2011. No.
Was that the
2020.
upkeep, the 45?
No, it was
Did you-
not 2011, 2021. In November of 2021.
And what was that money for?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, to do architectural designs and plans to actually look at that building. What's its needs are, what is possible to do. You know, it's kind of like the concept plans for it. To get started, seeing as how it is the only schoolhouse that is town-owned, one-room schoolhouse that is town-owned. We have gone and looked at it, you know, as a committee. And we identified some areas. I have notes from that. We have minutes from that. Rafa, you have all that information from the time that the previous commission tried to get the lead paint and some, you know, repairs done. So this is our next step. Because it's a building that's just sitting there, basically. So, Rafa, if you want to review what you have and I'll review what I have, and, you know, we can kind of put an argument together maybe for February.
Sure. Need aggressive fundraising. You think about these people with young families and whatnot, you know, who would be interested in touring
Well, yeah,
the one schoolhouse. I was thinking like little Girl Scouts raising, selling cookies and use that money to add to the account for Second Against the Schoolhouse. And little things like that, you know? I think it'd be cool. People complain a lot, oh, you know, that schoolhouse should be said, well, what are you doing to say that?
That's it.
Rumble on Facebook and whatnot, but
I think we should just ignore that.
seriously.
It's like, we're here trying to do the job.
Yeah, not just driving by being like, what are we doing?
All right, invoices. So I have the invoice from Deval Printing. And the total for that was $76. It was $38 per set. We did 2 sets. So, and then when we talked about this, I said it'd be under 50. That was for 1 set. So that's why it's $76. I also have the invoice from Amazon for the book that we ordered about, Zach has been studying it, the
Yes.
oral history manual.
It was thicker.
No, that's.
It's not, but it's, man, it's very intense.
Yeah.
I need glasses for that book.
Wow.
You know,
So he's been,
Impressed.
you know, working with that. That was a total of $46.74. And you have the invoice for the marker for this building.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Do you want it
yes. And
as well?
All right, so I just did one schedule here. Let me put this on here. So there's for you guys to sign, there's this one cover sheet. You sign it and date it, and then sign and date the 3 invoices. All right, so Zach, do you have some stuff on preserving memories?
Yes, so if possible, could I have some names of people to reach out to? I think my very first meeting, we spitballed some names. I'm hesitant to get started until the answer to the storage has been solved, because until then, if I'm recording or, you know, getting anything, any material that's on my personal computer and it's a town board project, I have no problem doing it. I just don't know if that's the best idea to keep things on a personal computer. I mean, again, we're not talking like, you know, whistleblower type, you know.
No, I
document,
understand.
But it's town property on a personal computer. If I was able to upload it quickly to a town storage, that's obviously one thing, but as of right now, we don't have an answer for that yet.
Okay,
But are there names of people that I could reach out to get the ball rolling? That you guys can think of?
I know of one, but I think we talked about it before, Myrna Santos. I mean, you get her up there and she can tell you a lot of things, very interesting. I know you guys heard from her in the past. I don't know anybody else, but I know she's like the,
We're gonna
the
use Jeff
so-called
Alley?
historian.
Yeah, Irene had mentioned Jeff Allen.
And how would I reach out to him? I see.
Go through Irene.
Right down the street.
Take a walk.
He's around.
Knock on the door.
Yeah, through Irene.
I know Myrna's on Facebook all the time, so I could definitely reach out to her there
Oh,
on there.
realities I'm not.
But
Yeah.
that's fine.
I have contact information that I can get to you
Okay,
for both Myrna and.
Sent an email out
Yeah.
with her contact
Yeah.
information. You got a message with like 4 names and addresses?
yeah,
Irene's name is on there in her phone.
okay.
Right, and I can get you Myrna's.
Any other names that you could think of?
Do you want to ask Miss Perry?
We could ask Miss Perry.
Miss Perry lives on Forest Street. She lives with her nephew Bruce Perry. Do you know him? 604 Forest.
Think
So
so.
I would reach her through him.
Okay.
I think
Anybody
between
else?
the 3 of them, you're gonna get a lot of information.
What is the name of the oldest veteran?
Oh, Richards?
Yeah.
Is that Richards?
No, that was Richmond Trip.
That's what I'm thinking of.
And he is now in a nursing home. He's not home.
He's not.
I don't know which nursing home he's in.
That's not good, so.
Well, I don't know if he's still sharp. I don't know if he fell a few times and they were just concerned. So if he's sharp, yeah, he's great. But I don't know where he is
Right.
physically.
The other person I was thinking of, I don't know, like, Patrick Menchie's used to run an old newspaper in town many
yeah.
years ago. I don't know if we want him on the list. I'm just,
Subject, yeah.
yeah.
And if any, I'm trying to think of some of the names you guys mentioned. I mean, it's a few months ago now, but,
I may have written them down. Let me check
okay.
my notebooks at home.
Okay.
What about Nancy Goodall?
Who's that?
Nancy.
Goodall.
Gouin.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
It's not very talkative though.
Kidding me? You kidding me?
100%.
Are you not well? You give her 3 minutes, you talk for 3 hours.
And I would say that if she was in the room right now, too. So,
I think she knows too.
Yeah, she knows all that.
When I see her
She
rolling
does.
in right before the meeting ends, I go, oh, public input's coming.
You know, right?
Oh,
You got 3 minutes.
nice lady, but, oh,
no, I know.
but she has a lot of
She's
knowledge.
very knowledgeable.
Yeah,
Yes.
nice lady.
But that's what you want.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think, if you start with those are,
And Dave, so do you know roughly when would be a good time to come see the studio? I know you said about a week's worth of work.
Are you got meetings tomorrow? When's your next meetings in town for yourself?
It'll be the third.
I know I'm gonna be at cable tomorrow. That helps, probably in the beginning.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, yeah.
I'll probably be there around. I'll probably be there at 4 o'clock, just. And you know where it is, just
Yeah.
knocking on the door, we'll be there.
Okay.
Hopefully Laura will be there too. And like I said, I'll send an email out to Gary, see where we are, because I know we're almost done with that, so.
that's good.
And hopefully I can contribute to the committee by opening up that studio and
Mhm.
helping out with the other things.
Okay, so I have a name to contact. I'm gonna reach out to Mike, see if we can look at the release form, and then when we get, do we know when the town is looking for the feedback on the IT?
By February 1st, I would think.
That means they probably won't have a response to us until after that, right?
Right.
Right.
So for our next meeting though, hopefully by then,
I wouldn't think so.
No.
I think as long as the question's out there, once if we get going, we can put whatever we have on a flash drive or for now, and then transfer it to where it needs to be,
does the board have one?
the flash drive.
Like that's town property. I mean, I have some at home,
Yeah.
one that's already town property.
Yeah, I do.
You
You
do?
have one? Okay. How many flash drives do you have? You have that many or you just got a few?
I just a few.
All right.
I'm sure town hall must have a whole bunch of them. I remember back when I was in 8th grade, it was like $50 to get one.
Yeah.
Now they give them away for free. Like
Yeah.
they're just so like. I remember 8th grade, it was like, it was like 5 megabytes and it was like $50
Yeah.
at Walmart, and now you go to like, fundraiser, just like handing them out for free.
256 gigabytes in a small.
Yeah,
stick.
for real, yeah. And people are like, you actually want this? It's like, yeah.
How big a flash drive? Because I think I have like 32 gig.
No, that's more than enough.
You gotta keep documents on it.
Yeah, started. Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay. So we can give one to the project. And if we need more, we can always order more too. Because they're cheap enough.
Oh, yeah. I mean, half-hour long audio conversation, for example, is gonna be what? 300, 400 megabytes? I mean, we won't even.
You can
touch-
use that a few
We
times.
won't even touch the 32. I
Okay.
mean,
So would the IT needs be like, were they granted some hard drives?
Were they granted hard drives?
Yeah, I mean, how's that work? I mean, they want to know what we need for IT.
Right.
So if we say, well, we need some thumb drives, were they,
I
they're
think,
not gonna buy it for us, right?
no,
I don't
No.
think so, not the
Right.
way things
well,
are going.
and the issue with that was also that I think right now, any kind of physical hard drive would be temporary until we get an answer to the cloud storage. Because the
Yeah.
whole point was to avoid having a one and only hard. I mean, I remember I
Just want a second.
a few years ago, I had a hard drive that I plugged into my computer. All of a sudden, it was like, this is corrupted. Like I had documents on it. Like,
Yeah.
I must have unplugged it too fast or something one time, and everything was gone.
Okay,
All it takes is like, a prompt, a
Little
prompt
right.
loose, and now everything, you can't use it ever again. So we're trying to avoid having a one-stop, everything's on this one device. That's why the whole topic of the cloud came up, because
let me talk to Kevin Smith, because when he took over the CPC, he started putting things on a server, I think, or somewhere. So
Okay.
let me see what, and I know him pretty well. Let me ask him about storage space too.
okay,
he'll be there at town hall tomorrow. I'm meeting with him at 3.
At 3? Okay, I'll talk to him after. Excellent, thank you.
Okay. Are we good? All right, America's 250th Anniversary Committee, the committee's coming together. Peter's now the liaison from the Board of Selectmen, plus all the others, Joanne Racine, Marina Santos, Ray Haig, Karen Potter. Tomorrow night, Rich Gunther is on the agenda to be appointed to the committee by the Board of Selectmen. Rich is involved with the Rehoboth Minutemen,
Hmm.
and he's done reenactments. He organized the reenactment in 2012 here at Sweet Knolls. So he brings a lot of skills, I think, to the committee.
He was funny. I was at that reenactment and they were like drinking the beer they have to make and they were like putting down the king. And it did such a great job, like you're almost there
Sure.
until someone ruined it, like it's getting cold. I'm gonna go in my car for a while to warm up. But he's a great guy though,
Yeah,
great performance,
yeah.
so nice guy.
So, and then the selectmen are sending a letter to all of the department heads.
Right, and I believe it went out.
Okay. So, it doesn't look like the Minutemen are gonna send a designee to it, but Rich will be the go-between, definitely. So, that's coming together. Then, and I anticipate that, thought we would probably meet in January, but I think it'll be more in February. That middle of February, maybe.
Okay.
And we'll have to look at, some dates and
Sure,
schedules.
yeah, they're pretty hectic right now.
Yeah. So that's that. At our last meeting, we talked about having working committee meetings to go over the survey forms and the recommendations from all of the information we have from our surveys that were done. It would be a posted meeting and the only item on the agenda would be to discuss survey forms and then to make a recommendation to the commission as a whole. So not everybody has to participate unless you want to. Or if you can't make one time, so that's a little bit flexible, but that we start making progress on these recommendations. So, I have January 22nd, 25th, or 29th open, or February 12th right now. I don't know what anybody else has.
What days they fall on?
Oh, you have to ask me the hard.
I have,
question.
what dates? Pat?
The
calendar.
25th,
It's a Thursday,
the 22nd of January,
22nd of Monday.
or the 29th of Monday.
I'm good except Tuesdays, the second and the fourth I have zoning. The second I have this and the fourth meeting, fourth Wednesdays I have zoning. So
Okay.
as long as it's not a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I guess Wednesdays would be tough too for,
Wednesday's tough for me with cable.
Thursday is great. That's the 25th.
yes, that's the days that she just mentioned, yes. 25th of January is Thursday.
All right, I can do that and I'll have to check with Leanne for a spot. Because we don't need a big spot and we don't need Zoom, so.
Right, and we could do it at the library at the middle school, if we had to. Like, hypothetically, it could be,
Well, it posted as long as it's posted, then people have to be able to get to it,
right.
Yeah. So the plan would be that we would make recommendations back to the full commission. If the full commission sitting there is fine, but we still would have to come back to the meeting to make a vote on it.
So if we do the 25th, do you want to start with a specific area, or do you want to just?
I was thinking about that. I thought we could review Stacy's reports that she gave for both of them,
Good place to start again.
because she did a final report for the North Dayton project, and she also did a final report for the one that she did in 2021, 2022. To take a look at that, because that has some recommendations in it, and then we could prioritize some of our area forms. Take a look and then set our priorities.
I guess one thing that I was thinking is that if this this might be a luxury, but if we have a space that has a, by means of projecting. Would be helpful because, I mean, I obviously love having hard copies, but something like this, if we're all looking at something, it would be. Not like broadcast like that per se, but just even like a. Pull down screen, like old fashioned one. I don't know how. Or just like if we had a computer, like, we could like show the screen, like, so everybody could look at it digitally and like. Have more than one tab open kind of thing, if, I'm not saying for that meeting specifically, but.
I have a
We
projector.
have something on
on the screen.
Time over there, right?
You gotta check with Leanne because they even booked those prime time rooms out.
Okay.
Yeah. Tony was there for a while.
Yeah, because actually you can set up,
So even something like this, but
Right.
again, we might not need it, but like that might be a good thing to
Right.
have, as opposed to having one document, like. I did print out everything hard copy, but I mean, if, if not everyone does, having it digitally helps.
I mean, I got a projector and a screen. The only I have to look at the 25th because the Lions beat the second and the fourth.
that would be the
Thursday.
fourth.
Yeah,
Like I said, it wouldn't, I don't think it'd be a need, the end all be all, but I think if we had that resource, it might be helpful.
yeah. Anybody's looking at one screen, so that the paperwork. No,
The police station has a big room with.
Yeah, they
screens.
have, yeah, they
Yeah.
do too. Yeah,
That's an option.
that's
I
an
didn't think about
option.
that.
HDMI cable plugged in, you should be all set over there.
Yeah. they
Guys,
have-
any boards meet there?
No,
Do they use the space often?
no.
No. Yeah.
Well, I mean.
I think Christine Pacheco uses that, Ken Pacheco's wife.
It was for the cookbook group.
Yeah, something like that.
There's some of the empty cells too.
All right, so. What time do we want to do? 6?
I mean, I guess that would depend on if there's wherever we are, if there's a board meeting after us, because hypothetically, if we were here at 6, we had a board coming here at 7, that's not gonna do it.
Right,
I mean, this could be something, we could be there for 2 hours, so
So, for a 2-hour slot.
I would say later would be better if we're competing with another board. But if
Okay.
no one's there, it doesn't matter when we start all really.
Between 6 and 7.
all right, let me see what I can do. I'll chat with Leanne tomorrow. And we'll figure it out from there. And, I'll let everyone know. If you can make it, want to participate, great. If you can't, we'll just get started on this. Okay,
Sounds good.
all right. Also on that, I reached out to Stacy Spies and she is willing to meet to discuss the recommendations. So she did say she could attend through Zoom. That's when we'd have to set the Zoom for free. And if it was in person, she would charge for her travel time to come down. So when we're ready for her, we'll have to work a schedule out for her. But she was willing to discuss that with us. So
Would that be something to tie in with the working committee, or do you think that would be separate?
I would tie that in with the working committee. Because that would give give you information, give us information about what we want to do and what the priorities would be, and
Should we see if she's available on the 25th, or do you think that's too short notice?
I can see
She's gonna Zoom, right, Lisa?
Or Charlotte?
Stacy,
Yeah,
maybe
either,
Stacy.
either Zoom or if she would come. We would just have to pay.
Or if we have,
for it.
if she's gonna Zoom, I know the prime time's all set.
Yeah.
We got a Zoom station there. The police station does not have one. There's one coming, but it's not there yet.
Okay.
All right.
Just keep that in mind in
yeah,
case you want to use the Zoom
Yeah.
station.
Okay. All right, so we'll figure that out depending on where we are and also what her schedule is. It might be too short of a notice at this, but can't hurt to ask. We had also talked about the continuation of the community-wide survey. We'd taken a look at the sample contract that Stacy sent for under 20 survey forms to be done. she charges. Getting ahead of myself here. Charges like $350 per building. I did ask her about area forms, and she said that is kind of a function that happens depending on the buildings and how it lends itself. So it was a natural, could be a natural product of it, you
Okay.
know. It's kind of how the area, the buildings and how they all fit together. So yes, that we can certainly include area forms rather than just the Form Bs for the individual buildings. I sent the contract to Mike to review. I'm sure he's like out straight, and I'm sure I'll just have to go in and make an appointment and say, I need you to look at this, Mike. I always give him the benefit of the
Should I do
doubt.
the same thing? Should I do the same thing for the release form too?
Well, first just, send it to him, and then you kind of like.
You have to follow up.
You have to follow up, I believe that if we look at this, say, just for an example, if we do 10 buildings, $3,500, and I believe that it's under $10,000, so it does not have to go out for bid.
Right.
So, and we'd also would have to,
10,000 or 5,000?
I thought it was 5 at first, and then I second guessed myself and said 10, so it could be.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's-
But we will make sure before we
Sure.
do anything. The other thing is, and I can ask Mike that when I follow up on the contract.
Yep.
We would also have to fill out an eligibility form for CPC for funding, as they have their whole new process, and so they have their application for eligibility, where you state what your project is and what you're asking for funding, and then they have a much more detailed application form once you're approved. So we'd have to follow, and I can send you the link to all of that for the CPC. So I think we probably, if we are going to go ahead with this, and we can decide in February that we would want to fill out that form. Is there any thoughts? Okay. Do we want to continue going on? Doing surveys?
Doesn't that only make sense?
I think so,
I think
yeah,
it's one of the board's priorities, in my opinion.
right,
Well, I mean, one of our main functions, I should say.
yeah, okay,
You said she charges $350 per building.
yeah.
Doesn't matter the size of the building, yeah.
Nope.
And just bring me up to speed, when she charges $350, is she like inspecting the building? Or-
No, she's doing the, see, like you have this Form B right here,
Oh, okay, she's doing all this
she's
stuff.
doing that,
Okay,
yeah, that's
All
what she's doing.
okay,
She's completing those survey forms.
okay, makes sense now, thank you.
And our forms that were on there on MacRis, because they go on MacRis, it's just in Massachusetts, listing of all the historical properties. Our forms are older, they're from the 70s and the 80s and some from the early 2000s. And even the ones that were done in the early 2000s don't have as much information because the criteria has changed throughout the years, so much more detailed and much better sourced. And it's a snapshot look at these particular buildings, because you can do more research in it. For example, my mom's house on Pleasant Street. It's included in the Pleasant Street South Dayton area form. So it's just a very little paragraph, a description of the house, a description of why it's historically significant. George Washington Cobb lived there and he was part of the shipbuilding but I started doing a little more research on it. other owners, like the genealogy of the house. So there's a lot more details of the other people that live there. Now, my mother always talked about George Washington Cobb living there and how exciting that was. But then I found out that there was also, one of the people that owned the house for 13 years was a teacher at Bristol Aggie. You know, I was like, that's pretty cool,
Well-
Mom. You should have told us that, you know? So you find out a little more in depth about the people and, you know, who lived there and the reasons why. And with my mom's house, it has a shared driveway with a right of way, but at one time it was one whole big parcel of land, and this Robert Whitmarsh built the second house. It's the big Victorian that's right next to her house. So you get a little bit of more of the flavor of the area, more of the history of the people that were living there. So certainly these forms, they're just like a quick look. They're like here's the facts that we have. Here's why it's significant. Here's your sources. And then you can go and, you know, add more to it. All of them you can add more to. And we saw that when I did the house talk, and people got up and talked about their houses, you know, and what they loved about them. Like Rafa had talked about his house. You talked about your houses. Yeah. So, all right. So, I'll get after Mike for the sample contract and we can work on this in February again. Historical markers.
So how do we pay Signorama?
I'm gonna put the invoice in and they'll cut him a check, accountants.
Are they going to send a check directly to them?
Yep,
Okay, okay. I was thinking maybe just delivering the check to him so I can pick up the signed.
oh. No, the accountant,
Okay.
they usually send them the checks. You can tell them the check's in the mail and go get the
No,
sign.
because it's better for me to just pay the
Right.
check, hand the
Yeah.
check, because
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't want to wait forever for the vendor to call
Stop
me.
in and ask, because I'll drop these off tomorrow, so they'll be processed next week.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I forget how the process goes after I've done my part.
Right,
And then they get to sign it.
yeah.
So probably 2 weeks, you know?
2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I would drop into chat with Serena and ask her.
Going back to the prime time, I mean, I think the Lions reserved that for the 25th. So
Okay,
just letting you know in case you have
Yeah.
no surprises.
yeah. I'm sure its space is tight, you know?
I mean, the police station sounds good if no one's using it.
What's that?
The police station. If the only downside is no Zoom.
They get internet in there though, right? They,
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
I mean, still get a projector and a,
You said HDMI hookup, right?
oh, that's right. We don't even need a screen. That's right.
Yeah,
State of the art building.
What building? Oh, yeah.
well, we'll figure it out.
Better have an HDMI cord in there.
Okay, do we want to move forward on the segregated schoolhouse?
Sure.
Oh, good, because I brought you an application form in the.
Well,
Oh,
And the Form B for it, so you're all set.
oh, it's 725 Main Street. The Paul Reynolds house.
Oh,
I'm still doing some research though.
yeah, yeah. Because there's some question about that. Okay. See, I knew you wanted that. I put the Boston Post cane recipient on, and Pat, thank you for getting the card for Ms. Perry.
I just thought we have some new members on the commission, and I don't think you would know anything about our Boston Post cane program.
Yeah.
The display case behind you, you see a plaque with some gold little name labels. And if you take the time, you know, coming in or coming out sometime to look at it, that's the Boston Post cane recipients. Our present recipient lives on Forest Street. She turns 101, which is what the birthday card was for. She's a very nice lady, sharp as a tack.
At 101.
At 101, she's a
Awesome.
lovely person. The person before her was Mrs. Perry, who lived on,
Sylvia.
Sylvia, she lived on 138 near Sammy Pine's house.
Mhm.
again, ladies that are really, they're with it, you know? I mean, the fact that they're up there in age, but they're very, they were driving and walking around and close to 100 or 101, that's wonderful. Well, anyway, so everyone's name is on that little plaque. And if you look at the shelf above it, you'll see the actual cane itself. So if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see it's gold. I don't know if it's 14 karat or whatever it is, and it's inscribed. There was a newspaper called the Boston Post. And a zillion years ago, Pat, what year did they give out everybody's cane?
Oh,
I
19,
was gonna say thirties, but that's.
yeah, no, I think it was earlier.
They had this program that they gave a cane to every town, not to a city, so Boston didn't get one. Every town in Massachusetts and some towns in other states in New England. So they got this cane and it was to be awarded to the oldest citizen in the town.
Male citizen.
And then it changed years later and an actual female could get one. But some towns made the mistake of actually giving the physical cane to the recipient.
Oh.
Well, hello, you're not gonna get them back. So people die, people whatever. So
People use it.
people use it, yeah. So this is our original cane. So we don't give the cane out. We have a ceremony for the person. The last ceremony was here. Flowers, refreshments, you know, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. But all they get is their name on that plaque. They do not get the actual cane. But it's a really nice program and it's for the oldest citizen, man or woman, living in town. They have to have some years in the town because their families should have been some part of Dayton history.
Right.
So if we used to have a nursing home on Center Street. So if someone came to the nursing home and they happened to be 100 years old, but they weren't part of Dayton.
They're from Fall River and they just, yeah.
So the last recipients, one lady, her last name is Barboza. She lived on William Street. Her family farmed the land for 50, 60 years. These people are part of the town. After her, Mrs. Sylvia, now Miss Perry. These are people who, Miss Perry's been here all of her life. So 101 years she's lived here. So just because you're older and moved to town doesn't mean you automatically, oh, you know,
Yeah.
that doesn't work that way. We got a list of people from the town clerk several years ago. And of course, we don't add people to it. They only get subtracted because unfortunately, they died. I'm being nicer. So I keep the list and I have, you know, who died when kind of thing, and
Yeah.
who's next. But we wish her many, many more years of good health. So,
So
but that's what that's about.
if
Thank you.
someone were to turn, 102 a month from now,
Uh-huh.
do they then become the next recipient? Or like, how does that work? Like,
She has it until she is no longer with us.
oh, okay.
So, again, I hope she keeps it for a very long time.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really matter who's next. It's like, who's next when the time comes that we need a
Okay. So
recipient.
it's not whoever passes them in age per
No,
se, it's,
no,
okay.
no. Well, they can't pass them.
You
in
can't
age.
pass them an age.
Yeah, she was it, you know? Good fact.
Right.
I behind her by a few months.
A year is a year.
Okay.
Richmond Trip is either 3 or 4 months younger than her. So, okay, she got the award. He was living here, he
Right.
turned 100, wonderful. He's in a nursing home now. So should something suddenly happen to her, he's not living in town. That's-
Oh, okay.
Because he's no longer.
You're our
Yeah.
recipient. You need to live here. Another woman, Mrs. Botello, lived in town for many, many years, moves out of town, goes to Rainham. And then
That's
she
it.
wants the cane.
Right.
And then she makes a lot of noise about why she should get that cane. The rule is you have to live here. I'm sorry, you moved
That's-
away.
Yeah.
Miss Perry moved with her nephew on Forest Street. It's still in town.
Oh, wow.
A lot of Daytonians don't know that. Maybe we should advertise. If you really want that cane.
Stay
you need to
here.
live here forever.
Stay here. But of course, the nursing home's not here anymore, so
Right.
usually it's people living in private homes, so that's all we have.
Yeah, right.
But it's a cute program, and if you get a chance to just look at the names, you might see a name there that's somebody in your family. Pat's husband has a relative.
His grandfather's.
Harry Baxter Green is on there, and that's a relative of hers.
Yeah.
So people who are in Dayton for a number of years, that means something to them, you
Yeah.
know?
That kind of goes along with the oral history too thing, like it has to be someone who like, but we don't want just the top 10 oldest
That's
people in town because
That's
like,
right.
I've only lived in town since I was 70. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, but if you lived in town since you were 30,
Right.
you're 90 now, that's
Yep.
more,
So, yeah.
more the history aspect.
Right.
Not
So
by
what we-
default, your age number.
To define it, we had said that the person should have spent their 50% of their life in town.
Yeah, okay.
So if they're 90, it's 45, you know, if they're 100, it's 50. We want you to have some longevity here. You're representing the town.
Mhm.
You're gonna be on our plaque. We don't want you just to have moved in last week, you know.
It's like,
Sorry.
Hey, Grandpa, what do you get to say?
I mean, someday.
it's almost like a team captain of a sports team.
There you
in
go.
the sense that
There you
it's not the best player per se. It's,
No.
it's gonna be someone who's done something of significance
Exactly.
to the team,
Or their
you know?
family is in some way
Right.
significant to Dayton history,
Right.
even if it's a little thing. So what? I mean, that's.
It could be, they just lived on the same street for 50 years.
Whatever. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I can send you some of the history stuff about it too.
Yeah.
But if you want to see the names, they're all there. And that is the cane on top. And that's the only thing we have in our display case right now.
Do the other New England states call it the Boston Post game, or do they?
Nope, Boston Post
They
cane.
they keep the same name?
Yeah. If you Google it, oh, you find a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, really neat stuff.
That's great. Thank you.
Some towns have changed who they give it to, the one that volunteers the most, they've changed it, yeah,
Change the criteria.
yeah,
for it.
yeah. So
They have their website, Boston Cane website.
they did, yeah, and I think it's, but
You
there
saw-
wasn't anybody left to add the new people on, so it's kind of like it's there, but it's not
It's like a
updated,
nest.
yeah. So. All right, CPC, the CPC met on December 21st. And we had discussion on understanding how to return unspent CPC funds to the proper accounts. And what triggered this discussion was the grant funding, the $200,000 grant that the library got towards the HVAC. So the $200,000 will be coming back to the town. We're not sure if it's a reimbursement grant or like if you spend X amount of dollars, then they pay you some money, or if you have to expend everything first and then they reimburse you. How it works is that the money is first returned to the most restrictive account, which would be the historical reserve account. So that would be fully refunded with the $23,000 that went towards the HVAC proposal. And then the balance would go to as undesignated funds. So we haven't seen the money yet, so nothing's gone back into the funding sources, but that's what the plan is. Another discussion was held on the CPC. One of the components that CPC funds is for the community housing. So we had a discussion, which is going to be ongoing, about the CPC and their role in community housing. And what is allowable under housing projects for low and moderate income individuals and families and seniors. So this is going to be an ongoing discussion because there appears to be quite a bit that you can be doing with CPC money and affordable housing, which also may all tie into some historic buildings, especially if the buildings have apartments that are in there that they want maybe to make affordable. So there could be some help to kind of restore, rehab that apartment building that's historical in nature, provide some community housing. So there's a lot of learning that has to go on in this area. So it's kind of exciting, I think. And also approved was the Trails Committee's application for eligibility for funding for the Broad Cove Nature Trail Boardwalk project, the preliminary designs down off of 138 here. So they are going to be putting in their formal application. And CPC will be meeting January 18th. So then the library building committee met on December 18th after that horrific wind and rainstorm. Welcomed our new library director, Mark Prochnick. The new architect from MMT was present, and This architect engineering firm has extensive experience with municipal work and with historic buildings. They're going to be working on the design documents for the HVAC, the architectural, and the ramps and stuff inside. So they're gonna be doing the construction documents and the estimates for the Smith Memorial Hall. Also, they discussed and reviewed from the public input from the two meetings that Jonathan Gale and Ron O'Connor hosted. Was part of the ADA grant that they had to have these public forums so that the suggestions can be incorporated into the plans. The monies for the furnishings was in the FY 24 budget and would need to be spent by June 30th. And I guess that came out of on the news yesterday that there's cutting those funds in half. So it looks like that funding of $175,000 for the furnishings and fixtures will be cut in half. So but we'll figure that out as we go along. And then on another note, the Friends of the Library donated $10,000 from the golf tournament.
Oh, wow. Good.
So anyway, I sent you our meeting date schedule for 2024. So that you have them all there. It's all at 6 p.m. Also on here, I included our terms as commission members. Dave, yours was the only one we had a question about.
Oh, what's that question?
When did you start?
I think you started probably in April.
I think so. It was the, right before we viewed the school across the street. What was that?
It's April.
Wouldn't it be in the minutes?
Yeah, I'll check those.
I think we had to
meetings.
wait a month because I know I kept on missing the,
Yeah, but you were appointed in,
but I didn't get sworn in officially. I think they
Yeah.
held that back too,
do
just
you-
by a week or so.
yeah, do you have a paper that looks like this?
I can look for it at home or it's gonna be in my cable office. Let me check and see.
Yeah, because that'll tell you the exact dates on it,
Okay.
because I know Becky looked for
She
it.
looked for it and she couldn't find it in
Yeah.
her file, yeah, that she had kept for a while.
Right,
Before, yeah.
right, so if you could check for that, that would be
Okay.
helpful.
That's funny, that happened to me too. I got appointed. Selectmen approved it, but we didn't have a town clerk at the time, so I couldn't get sworn in.
So you missed one too.
I came and I was attending as a
Okay,
member of the public because
Yeah.
I attended, I just couldn't take part in.
Right.
right,
Right.
like me, same thing.
So,
Okay.
okay. I did send a contact list, with emails and phone numbers, so we can
Excellent.
get in touch with each other. Annual report is due April 1st. I'll have a draft ready for the March meeting because, it's due in April, and we would meet after April 1st. And then our next meeting date is February 13th at 6 p.m. I also had correspondence from Massachusetts Historical Commission. They received all of the North Dayton files and surveys, and they will be putting them up on the MACRIS website. And they were very pleased to get those. And they thank us for our continued support of survey activities in Dayton. That's all I have.
Good.
Anything else? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
For a second.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.